Hey there, Wargamers, and welcome back to another Wargames Delivered video. In this video, we're going to be showcasing the Speedpaints 1.0. Let's get started. Alright, so the main reason I made this video was to show off the original Speedpaint line and how they look and how they work. As you've seen on the channel before, I've done a lot of work with the Speedpaints in previous videos, and I'm a big fan of the original Speedpaint line. So with that being said, I'm not sure if they're going to keep producing this Speedpaint line in the future. I'm sure it'll still be in stock on our site for a while. I know we have a lot of stock with the Speedpaints, but they will be releasing the 2.0s sometime in the spring here, which I'm very excited about. If you've watched the Army Painters videos, you'll know that the new Speedpaints look awesome. They have a couple more colors, a couple different colors. So in preparation for that, I wanted to get some good videos out there about the original Speedpaint line and give it some exposure, because in my experience, it's been a great tool to get a lot of models done fast and a really good result as well. I know there has been some issues with the reactivation that can happen with this. This can also be used in a good way, kind of, to sort of blend a little bit if you know what you're doing with it, but I'm still kind of working on that. I haven't really made any videos on that. So I noticed in the Army Painters video in the 2.0 they're not really activating like they used to, so that's the big thing they fixed in the 2.0s, and you can kind of paint with them a little bit quicker than you could with these ones. So typically when I go over a speed paint, I give it usually about an hour or so until it's completely dry, and then I'll try to hit it with an acrylic highlight or something like that. So but with these, the biggest thing with reactivation is just give them, more time than you think you need to dry. They really need about an hour to dry, and that's what makes them also look so great when they dry. Is that reactivation chemical? So that's the deal with the reactivation, and I think that's going to be eliminated with the new set of speed paints. So as you can see here, I'm just using matte white and uniform gray from the acrylic line, and those are really the only acrylics I'm using in this video, just to really show off what the speed paints can do, how useful they are, and what they look great on. So I did Grim Black on the fur here, and that, to me, all of the speed paints look great when they dry on fur or any textured part of the model, and the flat areas are a little bit harder to work with, but that's common across all speed paints and contrast paints, anything of that nature. Sometimes you just really need to work with it. Each speed paint is a little bit different in how they work, so it kind of really depends on the color and the brand that you're using, and really just practicing with them and getting to know how they work. And here we're just moving into Gravelord Gray for all of the skin areas of the model. I wanted to show off how it works on different textures. This was a great model for that. We also have plenty of new games and new models on the site to kind of experiment and play around with. We have A Song of Ice and Fire, the miniatures game, which I've done a lot of videos on, and it's a great game. I've been playing it a little bit in my free time and have been having a blast with that one. Then we have Malifaux, which is a skirmish kind of Western style game. It's got some very, very cool models, very interesting mechanics, and I haven't really messed around with it too much, but it seems really interesting. I'm excited to kind of feature that a little bit more in the future here. And lastly, we have Elder Scrolls Call to Arms, which is I mean, everyone loves Skyrim, so those miniatures are nostalgic and great. I've yet to pick some of those up from the site yet, but I do plan on getting some of those and going over how to paint some Stormcloaks, some Imperials, and everything else in that nature. So moving over here, as you can see with the Gravelord Gray, this has given us a very awesome color transition between the fur and the skin there. Moving over into Sand Golem, we're going to cover all of the, I guess, clothing on the model, is the term you could use here, except for the scales of the velociraptor that he's killed, or T-Rex. I'm not really sure how tall this guy is supposed to be, but we'll say it's one of those two. Once that step is finished up, we're going to switch over into Camo Cloak for all of the scales on the hide that he's wearing of whatever dinosaur this is. So just going to go ahead and take a nice even coat over all of this. And just be careful when you're painting against the fur here. It can kind of tend to bleed a little bit, this color, so just be very careful against the belt and the fur here, and you should be all good going forward. And this is another color that I wasn't too sure how it would turn out, but I was actually very happy with the result here. If you're working on any Seraphim models or lizard men or anything like that, this is a great color to do some of those larger dinosaurs, and even some of your smaller infantry models. This would work out very well. And the biggest thing with this step is just making sure your coverage is consistent, getting more paint when you need it, and trying not to let it splotch onto other areas. Once you've got that finished up, we're going to switch over into some finer detail here, and we're going to move over to Slaughter Red for the inside of the dinosaur's mouth here. This is really the only spot that we're looking to pick out here. Just be very careful against the gorilla's forehead when you're doing this step. So I'm sorry for the unfortunate camera angles here. Trying to paint this area is a little bit difficult and get a good image of it, but I'm trying to work in the painting handle a little bit more. I know some people have issues with the paint rubbing off if you just use your hands to pick up the model, which I typically do. I have very naturally dry hands, and so I don't really have a problem with it, but I have noticed it on some models and some models with the speed paint. So now I'm going to try to kind of work it into my tool set a little bit more. And next up we will move into some Zealot Yellow, and we will just cover this little gem that's around his neck. I'm not really sure exactly what this is supposed to be, but I figured if it was a glowing kind of stone or gem, that might be kind of cool. So we'll just go ahead and cover this with Zealot Yellow and move on to the next step. Now we're going to move on to one of the larger steps that we have to finish off here, and that is switching over to Pallet Bone and covering both of the dinosaur bones, I guess, that he has in his hands, and the teeth of the dinosaur up top. So we'll go ahead and do a quick and dirty layer over this. I didn't really do perfect coverage on this, but I actually like how it turned out because of that. So, you know, bones don't always look perfect after they've been around for a little bit, or, you know, they've been used by a gorilla to hit things. So that's kind of what I had in mind here, and I'm just kind of trying to cover all of the white, and we will go ahead and be very careful here dotting the teeth, really just trying to meet them up to the I guess gums of the dinosaur there. Not sure if that's the correct term. And we will quickly move into some finer details here with the eyes, and I wanted to switch into something a little bit brighter, so I went with jungle green from the regular acrylic line, and we're just going to dot the eyes here. This paint is very thin, so you will need a couple thin layers. I did about 3 to 4 to bring up the color here, so just keep that in mind, give it time to dry, and you shouldn't have any extra texture on the eyes. And while we're working on eyes, we're going to switch over to some pure red, and we're going to go ahead and dot the dinosaur's eyes here, doing a couple thin layers. This one's a little bit more opaque than the jungle green, so just keep that in mind. You won't need as many thin layers on this one, but still thin out your paint and get nice even coverage on those. And moving over into dark wood, we're gonna use this to coat the necklace on the model here, being very careful around the yellow and the skin here, and the fur. So keep that in mind while you're working this down the necklace there. And we're also going to use this color to do a very quick paint job on the base as well. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching our videos and supporting our content. We greatly appreciate it. And be sure to check out the top link in the description for the giveaway attached to this video. All of our videos are now going to end on the Sunday after the video's premiere, the week after. So it will be the 19th for all the giveaways this week. And as always, guys, happy wargaming.